Hi guys, welcome back. Today I am going to do a spread in my Life Crafted album. This is my Lily Life Crafted album and I am using the July scrapbook add-on kit from Citrus Twist. So many fun, bright, beautiful papers in this. I'm obsessed. It also works out perfectly because we're in the middle of winter here and I need all the color that I can get. So I am going through all of the papers in the kit and I just want to pick out a couple. I've definitely picked out the Sweet Story line. That's one of my favorites, and I'm going to end up going with that kind of, it sort of looks like a rainbow. It's kind of quite abstract, but I'm going to call it a rainbow because that's what I think it looks like to me. My camera also does not love the contrast between all the light and dark here, so sorry about that. This is the pattern. I wanted a paper that I could use both sides of because I want to do kind of a fold out on the spread. And so I'm trimming this 12 by 12 down to 8 1/4 high. That's the height of my spread here. And then I just want to work out where I'm going to fold it, like what part of the paper I want to be able to see, which is this side here. And then I'm going to trim down enough so that I've got 5 inches plus enough to fold over this flap, as you can see here. So that's why it was important to have a pattern paper that I liked both sides of, because I am going to be able to see both sides of it at once. If you had a pattern paper that you were super keen to use and didn't necessarily love the other side of, you could always glue a pattern paper back to back with that so that you got 2 patterns that you liked. I just lucked out and managed to get one that I liked both sides of. Now I've got 2 photos for this spread and I've sized them so they're just slightly smaller than 4 inches wide because I can print 4x6 at home. I also don't want it to be a full-size one because I need it to be able to fit into this actual spread, so it is just slightly smaller than 4 inches wide. And then on the back of that you can see I temporarily adhered them together so that I could get the 2 photos to be exactly the same size, but on the other photo I have got a photo grid that I just made myself in Photoshop. Now I just use a 6-hole punch here. I've got a little cardboard guide that I use to make sure that all of my holes are always punched in the same place. You can just do that with a single hole punch. That's what I was doing last year. I started using my 6-hole punch this year and it made it a lot easier. Now I had just temporarily adhered those photos together so that I could trim them so they're exactly the same size, but you can kind of see what I'm going for here. The photo is going to overhang the folded flap of my spread and kind of be like the little guide to show you that there is something to flip over. So to join these 2 photos together and adhere them onto the page, I'm just adding some double-sided adhesive, and then I'm going to lift up one little piece of it so that I can grab the edge of it, but I can put this down here. All the backing's still on the tape, so it hasn't actually adhered yet. It means I can get it where I want it, make sure it's straight, and then pull off the adhesive strip. And now I know it's going to be in the right place. So I've got my first photo adhered, and then I'm going to flip this over. I need to remove the backing tape on these 2 pieces as well. And then on my second photo, I only need to add adhesive around the 3 sides. I just want to make sure that I'm doing that on the right side rather than wasting the adhesive. So I'm just adding a couple of little pieces because this is going to adhere onto that first photo, so I don't need to double up on that adhesive. But I am going to do the same thing and just pull off the little piece of the backing tape first so that I can get this side of my photo lined up. This is the important side. This is the side that you'll see. I don't want to see the back of the photo paper. Then I can just adhere that down and then pull off all of the remaining backing paper from all of my little strips, and that's my 2 photos adhered down really well to both sides of that paper. Now on the left hand side of my spread, I kind of want to do something a little bit different. So I used my silhouette and I actually cut my journaling into that blue cardstock. It's such a beautiful blue, and like I said, my camera is having a spaz trying to deal with it on the screen here, but I just started out with a blank canvas and silhouette. I drew out a rectangle that was 5 inches by 8 1/4 high, and then I just used the text tool to type in my journaling, and then sat back and let the silhouette do all the work. I cut out all of the words there. It did take a little while, and I love how this looks. So I need to back this with some pattern paper because it's just going to sit in my album. I don't want it to be loose. I want it to be backed with something. And I tried a few different patterns, but in the end I really just want to use the offcuts from the same pattern paper that I use so that I can get all of those different colors in there and it will match the right hand side really well. So I do have to do it in two pieces because I didn't have a piece that was wide enough, but when I sort of measured it out, you can see I do have enough to make it work. So I tried out a couple of different scraps that I had and then decided to go for it. So I'm just marking where the holes are so I can trim those down and make sure that they are like it's a pretty tight fit, but if I'm careful I can fit them in. I'm just going to use a glue pen and glue all around all of these little sentences. I'm not necessarily gluing around each word or letter, just enough to keep it really well adhered down. So I did all around the words and then I can glue this down. It'll end up being, this whole page will end up being adhered onto the back of something else anyway. So as long as I can make sure all of those words are glued down, it should be good. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the second sheet there, just trim it down so that it is the right size and then go ahead and glue that all down as well. So that's really the base for this page all done. I just need to do a little bit of embellishment. There was this cut apart sheet, another Sweet Story one, cut apart sheet in the kit there, and I really wanted to use a few more patterns. I know that sounds crazy. I'm not usually a multiple pattern person and I've already got 2 on here. I wanted to add a little bit more and just back my photo. I know I kind of put my journaling onto the left hand side instead of a title kind of, or you could call it like a super long title. I do want to add a little bit more journaling to this spread and I'm going to end up doing that on the inside of my folded flap. So I want to just add a little bit of embellishment to the outside, but that cut apart card piece will give me a space to add some of that journaling on the inside. So I'm going to use a few of these die cuts. This isn't going to end up being a super bulky page. Literally just the fold out piece is really the only kind of 3D element on here. But some of these die cuts are going to go on the inside and some are going to go on the outside. So I want when my flap opens, I'm going to have my photo grid, some journaling, but I also want a few embellishments in there as well too. So I'm going to cluster a few on the front. I've got this really pretty black and white floral and the happy heart there from the Pink Paisley pack with the Monaco. It's one of my favorites. And then a couple of stickers. One's just a cardstock, one's a puffy sticker from Pink Fresh Studio. And I'm going to stick a little label in there just to kind of add another element. This ends up kind of being like my title. It says Happy Neighborhood Walk, so I'm just going to call it this page sort of Happy Walk and not really end up with a traditional title on here, which I don't mind at all. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I liked how that looked, so I'm being really careful to kind of stick everything down on top of each other exactly as it was, so I can try and get it exactly how I want it rather than pulling it all off and then relying on my terrible memory to try and get it back together again. And then on the inside I'm going to do basically the same thing. I stuck down that cut apart piece. You can see how it's just something a little bit lighter. It's going to help my journaling kind of have a home, and then I'm adding a couple more of those die cuts. Now this tag one, I did want it to sort of sit over the fold, which I was a little bit worried about, so I'm just going ahead and pre-folding that as much as I can just to get it really loose, and then I'm going to hold the actual flat cardboard piece up so that it can go right in the exact right place. And it actually works much better than I thought it would. I thought it would be a real issue having that sort of layered cardboard on the fold, but it doesn't. It actually works really well, so I was super pleased with that. I'm echoing that same heart shape on the inside as the outside, so it's almost in exactly the same place when you fold it over. I love that repetition, happy and love there. And then like I said, I did want to add a little bit of extra journaling. I have just typed those out on some scrap paper. I'm going to trim them down into strips and then just glue them down onto the inside here. But The trick of it is I don't want you to be able to see it from the outside, so I wasn't sure if it was all going to fit. To place my first word strip, I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive on here and then fold the flap over and just loosely hold a bit of paper where that flap folds over so that I can place my first strip. And then once I've got that first one down, the rest just can go one after the other, and I know that they won't be seen when the photo is closed. And that is this page all done. I love how this page turned out. I love all the little details. I love the bright colors. And I super love adding my journaling with the silhouette. That is definitely something I want to try again. It was really fun. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you again really soon. Bye guys.